Hello. Welcome to this week's, and I need to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. There we go. Welcome to this week's Womb Wisdom Wednesday. I'm so excited to be here sharing what is ready to come through and support our journeys with all of you. All right. Today I feel guided to talk about the power of surgery as ceremony. This is something that I have shared a bit about before, but I had a really beautiful experience this last week that just really feels aligned to share in this space with all of you with permission from the person that I was working with. And I feel intertwined maybe some we'll see what comes through. There's a lot of things. As I was preparing for this message today, there was a lot that was coming through, so just trusting what shape this takes. So I have talked about before the power of entering into a surgery as a ceremony, honoring that there is some part of our body, whether it's something that's being removed or something that's being fixed. And I think, and many people may do this where we might bring in our angels and guides and envision them working through our surgeons or our care team in the OR and assisting us in the recovery. However, there's something even deeper that we're able to do. And I want to share a bit about an experience that I had supporting a dear friend of mine who had to get a hysterectomy today, a sacred day, to be undergoing that surgery on the new moon. And when it became clear that this was what was medically necessary and what felt most aligned and empowered for her, we talked about approaching this surgery as a ceremony. And this is something that I've also seen in clients that have had hysterectomies in the past, where because they weren't aware to treat the surgery as ceremony, that there was some healing that was needed. And I think this is something that I shared in a live a couple months ago, possibly, maybe longer than that, where a woman that I was working with reached out because she was having the experience of just this this weight in her belly that no matter what she did, diet, exercise, it just couldn't lose the weight. And when she expressed that, the first thing that came through, I was guided to ask if she had a hysterectomy, and she said she had. And I was seeing that surgery was the source of this weight. And so I just felt guided to say, okay, for your next session, let's go in and do a ceremony around the surgery. And even though she had already had it, this is something that you can do, right? You can retroactively perform ceremony around a hysterectomy or any surgery that you've already had and do some deeper healing work around it. So we did this in a session, and there was many things that came through. But one of the things is that essentially her body was storing this fat in the place where her womb once was, feeling that it needed to fill that void. And because there wasn't necessarily a conscious ceremony done around honoring the womb, what it had provided for her throughout her life, doing any healing work that may have been present around resentment toward her womb space for not operating optimally, for having to have this surgery, right? So what was coming up in terms of maybe discordance between the body and the soul, what was the womb showing her needed to be healed emotionally, or even ancestrally. And because she wasn't consciously aware of that at the time, she didn't do any sort of ceremony around it, any sort of witnessing or acknowledgement, any sort of act of gratitude toward her womb space. And then what the angels and guides showed us is that after then the womb was removed, it's like her physical body was trying to fill that space, that void, with something, because it wasn't consciously filled with light or with the full expression of this woman empowered, right? Even the surgery itself did not necessarily feel empowered. It felt like it was something she had no choice in. And so when my friend became aware, again, this is the friend that just had the surgery, that she was going to be going through a hysterectomy. We really wanted to create ceremony around that. And I am so grateful to have been able to co-facilitate that ceremony with another dear soul sister of ours. And I always say, even though the person that we're working on is also co-facilitating, so my friend who was receiving this healing, who was the center of this ceremony, her highest self was very much present, assisting this to be a very beautiful experience. And there's so much I could share, and it feels very sacred though to the experience for my friend, that I'm not guided to give all the details, but something that I do want to express is, and honestly, it's really hard to put it into words because the ceremony itself was so incredibly beautiful. It was so beautiful to be physically with my friend, to be co-facilitating with another soul sister of ours, to feel the love we all had for one another, and to feel my friend being open to receive. This is so huge. And this is like, that in and of itself is massive for all of us, and especially women. To receive that kind of love and support, to be held, to be nourished, to be witnessed when we're about to go through a big transition. And even in that witnessing and even in that embrace alone, to feel a greater sense of empowerment, because also we know we're not doing it alone, right? So there was so much just in that. But then as I started channeling, and so Spirit was speaking through me as we were doing hands-on healing, they showed us the beauty of honoring her womb for all that it had created. And she was guided to connect to the miracle of carrying her children in her womb, and to feel them in there again, to feel that joy, to honor and thank her womb for truly the miracle, the miracles that it held, and how the souls of her children were still imprinted upon her womb, still present. And then also we opened as well to some of what the wounding was in the womb, even the physical developments, the reason that she needed the hysterectomy. And I'm feeling it's okay for me to share this, and I did get permission. One of the issues was a fibroid, and the fibroid spoke during the ceremony and said part of the message it was giving her is that if she wasn't going to take up space, if she wasn't going to expand and really stand in her power and take up space in the world, then the fibroid was going to do it for her. So essentially saying, hey, again, our bodies are speaking to us all the time, and we have been programmed out of listening. But that's also what we are doing now. What all of us, if you're watching this, you're a healer. It's part of what you're doing personally. You're remembering, but also what you're holding space and guiding others and remembering is that our bodies are talking to us all the time, and they have big messages for us if we listen. And it was so beautiful to hear what her womb had to share with her, and to honor that her womb had been speaking to her, right? And that even though perhaps she didn't know or remember how to listen or did so much in honor of hearing it, right? And so I want to acknowledge that, because she did, and she has, and there was more that it had to share with her. And it was also like a healing around the cycles of many generations of where we haven't listened to our bodies, and where we've forgotten that our bodies are also powerful and divine communicators to us. We think of angels and guides, but our emotions and our physical bodies are also just as powerful messengers. Spirit speaks to us in many ways, including in our emotions and in our physical bodies, and the messages we're getting when things are working well and when they're not. And so there was beautiful healing done around for her and her relationship with her womb, and healing any resentment or any discordance. So honoring what wasn't or what hadn't been working. listening and opening to what her body was sharing with her, what messages it still had for her, right? Even in, okay, we're gonna, this is gonna be, I'm going to be removed. And before we do that, thanks for opening to create this ceremony because I have a few more things to tell you, right? And so being able to consciously receive those messages. The other thing that was so beautiful, so I talked about the client beforehand where I did the ceremony for her years after her hysterectomy and how her body, the fat was kind of trying to fill that void. There was a really beautiful experience of where they essentially did the surgery psychically and removed the womb, and there was a beautiful process, and I don't want to go into all the details of that because again it just feels really sacred to the experience, but honoring the womb, removing it, anointing it. But then in that space where her womb was, her soul womb, the womb of her soul, this beautiful womb of light, was placed in that void where her physical womb was. There was so much power, so much activation in the experience of her receiving and embodying the soul womb. And there was further ceremony that they guided her to continue as a way to, again, really honor her physical womb and how it served her, and also open to that this is the end of a cycle. That this surgery as ceremony is not just ending her physical health issues, reproductive issues, right? But it's also ending a cycle of repressed emotion and ancestral traumas that have been passed down through the female line, that my friend is saying, I'm the end of that. I am the cycle breaker. And so the surgery then is, she's consciously bringing that intention that this is part of what the surgery is also creating. And her daughter does not need to carry on this cycle of trauma. And so surgery, which can be an incredibly disconnected and disempowering experience, when we're consciously aware that these are also rites of passage, especially where, this is a powerful one, right? Losing the womb, but also it's not really lost, right? When we're consciously aware and creating space for what's activating and what's healing in this process. This approach of ceremony makes something that can be very disempowering empowering, and something that can be very disembodied embodied. And so I asked her permission to share in this space a little bit about that ceremony, because I feel how it's activating something for all of us. A new way, a new perspective, yes, a new way of looking at things, but also getting curious at how our bodies are speaking to us. Can we receive those messages sooner to do, whether it's something physical that our body might be needing and asking for, or emotional work that may need to be done, but also whether you personally may need to go through a surgery, or you have a friend or a loved one that may have to. What is the power in us relating to surgery differently, relating to it as sacred ceremony? What is there to be healed and gained and reclaimed in that process? What is it to look at surgery as a rite of passage? And also opening to, for those of you that have had surgeries in the past that may now be going, okay, so what would it have been like for me to have entered into that as a ceremony? What was my body communicating to me? What was I releasing, not just physically, but energetically, that maybe I wasn't consciously aware of? Is there an opening to have that conscious awareness now? Is there an opening to do ceremony around it now, whether that's something you may feel guided to do personally with your angels and guides, or something that would be empowering to have, facilitated. You can reach out. We can do that. We can have, again, sessions for if you have an upcoming surgery, or if you've had one in the past and you want to do some healing work and empowerment and embodiment work around that. I also just want to take a moment just to send some extra healing light and love to my dear friend, who is such an incredible goddess. And it was beyond words, incredibly sacred and beautiful to witness her receiving in that ceremony, but very much facilitating it. Really, it's both. She was both in as her highest self and embodying that and opening to being that and knowing she is worthy of being that light. She is that light. We all see it, right? And now there's this beautiful space created for her to see it and own it and claim it more fully. This is honestly something where I trust everything I shared is what was needed to be expressed today, and it's also one of those experiences that is beyond words, really. There is something opening today for all of us. This new moon, the angels and guides on Monday said that it's like hitting a refresh button. I love it. I love that, my friend. I mean, this doesn't happen by chance. Like, it is divinely, there's a whole thing to it. It's just divinely planned and guided that she had this surgery today, on this new moon, and in this energy of hitting the refresh button. We have, all in our own ways, been going through some big healing, deep ancestral healing, this past month that really got amped up around the time of the full moon into now. And I talked about that on Monday, where for some of us it was curveballs, energy of upheaval, feeling disoriented, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like nothing's going as planned. It came about in many different ways for different people, or even just feeling just not yourself, or out of it, or down, or you having emotions come up where you're like, I don't even know where this is coming from. All of that has helped to clear some big stuff out. Similar to this surgery, right? There's space needed. There's space needed for our souls to expand, so we get to do this healing to purge what no longer serves us. And there's still some energy today for some kind of further release. So notice if there's stuff coming up for you today that might feel charged, and what's needed to allow that to be acknowledged and move through. In that acknowledgement, right? It's not just about releasing it. Okay, let me see it, witness, acknowledge it first. And in that process as well, this energy that we get to hit that refresh button. And it's not a refresh where it's like, you're on a website landing page and you need to refresh it and it's like the same thing comes up again. It's where it's like a whole new, like a turning of the page, truly a crossing of the thresholds. There is something that is ending. We're at a threshold where there now today is a clear ending and a new beginning. A fresh start. In the power of this new moon as well, we get to open to vision what we feel guided to create in the coming weeks and months. This is a powerful portal of activation and creation, by the way. So, and this is something I kind of forgot about. And then I was speaking to a client and angels and guides brought it through. I'm like, oh yeah. So we just had the solstice on Saturday, and we're heading towards Lionsgate, which is August 8th. Now there's going to be some powerful moments between the two. Lionsgate is 8/8, and it's where Sirius lines up with the pyramids in Egypt. And it's powerful activation energy around reclaiming our power, claiming our purpose, having this greater sense of trust and confidence in living our missions. And so the summer months are building towards that. So also in this new moon, there really is this energy of, okay, what are we building toward? What is the vision we are holding within our hearts, within our souls, that we're ready to birth into the reality, that where it's not just a concept anymore, it's something that is in the physical. Allow this to be a day where frankly you clear the remaining shit away and where you really expand into your power, where you claim all that you are, no longer playing small, no longer holding back. And open to what further healing may be a part of that. Because yes, we're in this beautiful crossing of the threshold where we're kind of releasing the last little bits of what's present in this time, what's been coming up, that helps us to be in that fuller soul state of expression. And it's a continued journey of healing. And yet I'm also hearing that as we move into this next phase of our healing, there is a deeper sense of empowerment as well as conscious awareness. There's greater grace around when those things are coming up, that nothing's wrong, right? That it's serving us, and being able to really hold space for whatever that is, to get curious, but also get supported. Another big piece of guidance that's been coming through these last couple months has been about community. So it's also a big part of what is activating. And I say this seriously every week, but there's a reason for it. It's because there's a lot of us that are still feeling like we have to do it alone, and then feeling like it's going to be hard and we're going to have to struggle and suffer. It's not the case. It doesn't have to be that way. So as we open to this portal of empowerment, there can also be today time to really pay attention to, okay, as I'm activating this power in me, as I'm reclaiming it, what am I also ready to heal in the process? Maybe there's some big things that you've been avoiding, right? Maybe there's some personal traumas you haven't wanted to take a look at, felt too big, and yet when you open to receive support and you feel into what's expanding within you as part of this healing, perhaps it feels a bit lighter. And again, a big part of that is remembering you don't have to do it alone, whatever that may look like to you. Reaching out to some soul sisters to co-facilitate a powerful ceremony for your upcoming surgery. Or something else, right? I'm going to end with a bit of an activation here, just to really support us to do some final clearing, acknowledgement of the energy that we're not meant to take through this threshold, to help us feel some life force energy activated within our physical bodies as we open to what's next, to gain clarity. If there's some of us that are like, I don't even know what I'm ready to birth or whatever she's talking about, great. Let's open to some clarity around that. And if you're clear on what it is, if you've been getting messages, many of us have, for the past couple months, and you've been wondering the how, let's open to that. Let's open to the next step in that how. Breathing deeply, feeling as golden light comes into the top of the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, solar plexus, sacral chakra, root chakra. You have said enough. You have said it enough that you are not enough. You have said it enough that you have something to prove. You have said that you are not worthy to receive the bounty of your own being. You have walked through life with a mindset of scarcity and lack, seeing through the eyes of others, not the eyes of the soul. What are you opening to? It truly is a shift in perspective. It is a new understanding. A new awareness of not how the world operates, but how it can operate. Through a new way of being, which is in alignment with your true expression, no longer hiding who you are, no longer holding back your words, no longer playing small. but showing up in confidence, in grace, with curiosity. Understanding you don't have to have it all figured out to take the next step. Many of you are feeling that way. Many of you are thinking you have to have some sort of guidebook or blueprint to tell you exactly how to get from point A to point B to point Z. But where's the fun in that? The answers are always within you. You are aware. And when the answers elude you, you wonder, how am I blocking myself? What am I afraid of? But do you give yourself time to breathe? Do you give yourself time to receive? Do you allow yourself to come from the mind, trying to figure out the how, and into the heart where the how truly lies? Perhaps it is not quite the conundrum or puzzle that you have thought it to be. Perhaps there is flow, there is simplicity. Perhaps the answers come as you move through life like a sacred dance, honoring the steps, the movement of the body, the connection between the body and the soul, honoring the joy that can be present. Breathing and opening golden light coming into the top of the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, solar plexus, sacral chakra, root chakra. Breathe and open as golden light comes up the legs up into the womb space. Root, womb, or sacral chakra, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown. Take a moment to notice where your power may have been stripped from you, where you have given it away. And surgery is an example of this, for there have been times indeed where many of you have gone into surgery or something similar, feeling disempowered, feeling where you needed to be fixed, where you didn't know what to trust, you just said yes. Other situations as well, where you felt uncertain, where you felt unsure, and yet you didn't know what else to do, so you said yes. So we are assisting you to heal where you have felt disempowered at any point in the past, where you have felt disconnected at any point in the past, where you have felt afraid to connect to your own inner knowing, afraid that you would be wrong. This is ready to heal because truly you are ready for clear vision and discernment. Within any given moment, knowing the step to take, not needing the blueprint because you feel within you the knowing. You feel within you the trust. You remember what it is to feel empowered in your body, to truly be connected to source and to your own divinity, to discern and to trust that discernment, to release fear, to release doubt. Breathing and opening golden light coming into the top of the crown, third eye, the throat, the heart, solar plexus, sacral chakra, root chakra opening, breathing. And so what are you ready to release? What is ready to be renewed and refreshed? Perhaps things that have been dormant that are ready to come back to life within you, what you have turned off in order to fit in, ready to come back to life, knowing that you are worthy to take up space and to be the light that you are. Breathing and opening. Golden light coming into the top of the crown, third eye, the throat, the heart, solar plexus, sacral chakra, and root chakra. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of a new way of being. This is the beginning of community, holding and embracing one another, so you no longer have to go through these rites of passage, through these experiences alone. So you remember what it is to feel held. You remember what it is to open and to receive. For this is part of the wounded masculine energy that wants that map to be able to move forward. So you don't have to think or feel. You can just follow the plan. But what you are opening to is that feeling, is that sensuality, is that sacred knowing, that flow, and that receptivity. To receive is key. And so each and every day, ask yourself how you are called to receive today, what you are called to receive today. Because this is truly the source of renewal, the source of empowerment that you have been seeking. Breathing deeply. Feeling the Sacred Mother hold you and embrace you, life force energy, the nourishment of her sacred love, activating in the root, the sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown. Breathing and opening. You are safe, held, and loved. Honor the crossing of this threshold, knowing that you are ready and it is time, and that you are not alone. We thank you. Gauna sunanani wam duwandarwanda gauna sunanani wam duwandarwanda gauna sunanani wam duwandarwanda. There's still a lot of energy moving. Take some time to connect with your angels and guides today, to connect with your body, to listen to what messages they have for you, to feel your highest self within you. You are not separate from your highest self. You are your highest self. Breathing into that and activating that, opening as well to the rites of passage that are ready to be reclaimed, what that might look like for you. I'm really excited to be offering some upcoming events that are both virtual and in person. The first is Seraphine Quantum Healing and Embody the Sacred Feminine 101. And in this workshop and activation, essentially, the first part, I'll be sharing some of the core concepts of Seraphine Quantum Healing and Sacred Feminine Embodiment work. We're going to be learning about the 5 Seraphine symbols and some of their components. We're going to be learning about the 9 sacred feminine rites of passage and the power of reclaiming these rites of passage. And then we'll end with a powerful healing and activation that will bring in both sacred feminine embodiment work and Seraphine Quantum Healing. I'll be doing that in person here in Richland, Washington this Friday, and then virtually I'll be facilitating the class next Tuesday the 1st at 1:11 p.m. Pacific time. Now keep in mind, for all virtual events, you do not have to be there live. There will be a recording provided, and the recording is just as powerful as if you were attending live over Zoom. So please don't allow the timing to be, oh, I can't attend. You very much can, no matter if you're busy at that specific time or not. And then I also just shared, I don't think I have yet in the Facebook community, but for those that are in on my newsletter, that I'm also going to be facilitating a healing series, a 3-part Sacred Feminine Rite of Passage healing series called Maiden Mother Crone. And we're going to be meeting 3 different times around the full and new moon in July, and then a little bit after that in August, and that's just because I have some Lionsgate events that I'm doing, so can't do it right in that full moon portal, but shortly thereafter. And each time we meet, for each of those 3 times, we're going to be going through reclaiming one of the rites of passage, understanding a bit more about what are the gaps in this rite of passage, what's ready to be healed for ourselves, our ancestors, and future generations. And even if we haven't yet gone through these rites of passage, there is so much power in reclaiming them. Even for women that are postmenopausal, that didn't give birth to children, there's power in reclaiming the pregnancy, childbirth, postpartum rite of passage, because our ancestors have all gone through them, and we carry the wounded energy. And so there's empowerment in all of these rites of passage, and parts of our expression that are ready to be reclaimed. through going through them consciously and in this way with the Sacred Feminine Guides. So I'm really excited to be offering this series. The first time we meet will be maiden, so we'll be reclaiming the rite of passage of puberty. The second time will be mother, so we'll be reclaiming the rite of passage of pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum. And the third will be crone, so we'll be reclaiming the rite of passage of menopause. There is so much shame and fear around all three of these rites of passage, and I have seen the power of working with a group of women to reclaim them, and so I'm excited to be sharing this little sneak peek of what the larger course is with all of you. And so that will be offered again both in person here in Richland, Washington, and virtually, and I will post information for both in the comments, and there's much more to come. This summer I am just feeling the words coming through are breaking open. There's something really breaking open within us that is beautiful. It's like a geode, right? And you crack it open and there's just this gorgeous agate inside, or crystal inside, right? And there is something really beautiful that's ready to open within all of us, but also for this world. All right. I love you all. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll be back on Monday with another live message. And of course, posting things between now and then. Light and love.